while Neo was still in the Matrix, the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar is triangulating where his actual body is in his pod in the power plant, and he's starting to feel a disintegration of his virtual self that eventually sort of resolves into his actual neurological impulses and perceptions of his physical body in the red goo. But I knew that there's going to be this mercury mirror reflecting back at him that overcame his body after he touched the mirror. And the sounds needed to be very, not at all technical and not metallic, but had a metallic quality, but they had to be organic sounds. It had to be about his feeling. What he's feeling is savage. You know, it's a savage animal. He's an animal under attack, kind of by himself in a funny way. So I tried different kinds of sounds and mostly used vocal sounds that I manipulated a little bit to get that deconstruction quality. Manipulated quite a bit actually, but we discovered as I put all these sounds in the temp mix that it didn't really work when you heard the sounds of Neo hearing himself over the other people's angles, because the audience couldn't really accept, and that included all of us and the directors on the stage. We couldn't really keep those sounds connected with Neo's experience, because Trinity wasn't hearing them, Morpheus wasn't hearing. I mean, he could have. It doesn't really matter, but it was a more cogent, defined storytelling if we only heard those sounds when we're seeing Neo's face. So it kind of breaks some of the modern rules of sound perspective, but it worked way better. So we didn't do any of those splits like you just heard, but each of the sounds are just across his face. And then there was some wet sounds that kind of added to that intermediate between this physical yucky world and this quantified digital world. So then the sounds as he's hearing himself on the journey, basically halfway to his destination. Which is mostly made from animal sounds. And then the key sound is Neo hearing his own self, his own consciousness, his personality, his life, quantizing and then resolving into his analog real world perceptions of self. So I took Keanu's scream and I used a method that I called micro looping, which is just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tiny cuts that I had to keep duplicating and moving around, and in spite of the computer constantly crashing. But eventually I got this continuous piece of this, and then I sent the whole sound off to Sydney. It was the first composite sound that they cut into the Avid. But this was, once I figured this key sound out, I knew it was going to work. Because you really feel Keanu, so you really feel Neo. It's like he's yelling at himself. So in the end, you have this. And now we're in the red goo with Neo.